Hey there, welcome back to a 13th section of the SwiftUI course. In this section, we're going to learn how to create a really nice navigation view that creates a list, and it's very inexpensive. It comes with a lot of features like setting up this large title, having a beautiful list that has a swipe to delete, edit mode, and you can also navigate to different screens using a beautiful transition as well as a drag from the side to go back. The first thing we're gonna do is to create a new file, and this time is for the updates list. We're gonna initiate a modal from the notifications right here, and then we're gonna create a nice list of updates about new courses. All right, so I'm going to open the navigator, and from here, after home list, I'm going to click on new file, SwiftUI view, click next, and I'm going to name this update list, create. Let me hide the navigator and resume so that I can see what's happening here. The first thing is we can remove the text. It's going to give us an error because we need something in between the view. So we're going to replace that by going to the views, and we're going to search for navigation. This one. This is going to give you a placeholder for your navigation screen. For each button, we're going to turn into a list. So I'm going to command click the navigation button and then put that embed in a list. And this is going to create that really nice default kind of settings and contacts like user interface that we call the table view. From that list, so I select the list, I can put a modifier to give a large title. So I'm going to do dot navigation bar title, camel case, parentheses, text, parentheses again, and then double quotes. I'm going to put the title, which is called updates. Make sure that you have the right parentheses. So we have this one that ends here, and then we have this one that ends here. And if you do it right, you're gonna see the large title being automatically put in the UI. What I wanna show you now is what it looks like to have this default style table. First of all, we have the advantage of having, so let's say we have 20 records, of having a scroll interaction. So I'm gonna play this, and you can see when I scroll, we have this for free, but also the title transition to here. But on top of that, when I go to a detail view, it gives me this interaction for free. I can even swipe from the left like this. For now, the content of my detail screen is just a text. But later on, we're going to create a detailed view so that we can customize the content of the screen. The other thing I want to show you is that we can put buttons in the header so that we can have, edit mode or settings page. So we're going to go to, right after the navigation bar title modifier, we're going to add a new one called navigation bar items, parentheses. And then we're going to set trailing because trailing means at the end. Press enter. For the view, let me delete it first and put this parentheses on a dotted line. And then in between, I'm going to put a presentation button. So presentation button, parentheses, curly braces. So what this means is that the trailing for our navigation bar items, the first one is going to be a presentation button. And here we can add as many as we want, as long as it fits in the UI. And the first one is going to be a presentation with a destination. I'm going to type that, and I'm gonna set it just to a text element. And inside the text element, I'm gonna put, let's say, settings. It's going to complain because within the presentation button, we need something. So I'm going to use an image. So image, parentheses, system name, with a string, I'm going to put gear. So now you see the first presentation button is now a nice little icon right here, which you can click and it goes to a modal because it's a presentation button. I just want to take a moment to explain that this is a navigation button which goes to a detail screen using this transition, but the presentation button calls a modal that goes to a modal screen. Okay, so now let's start customizing this layout with something a little bit more interesting. I'm gonna go to the bottom of the page and then set my data model. And here, since I already explained how to create a data model, this is just very repetitive. I'm just gonna use the data from the content and you can just copy and paste that. So let me explain a little bit. We have the update, which is of type identifiable so that we can manipulate it. We have the ID and then a bunch of other variables. Then we set our array, which is good for starting data, calling the data model, and for each of them, we have a bunch of data. So here we have a lot of them, so we can play and manipulate them. So let's go back to the top. First of all, right before the body, we're gonna set var updates is equal to update data. And then instead of using the list, which is hard-coded to simply repeating 20 times, we're actually going to use our data. So updates. And then for each, I'm going to start putting some content. I'm gonna put item.title. Let me resume this. And boom, we have our data right here. For the title, I'm gonna set it to a font that's going to be a headline. So it's a little bit bold. And I'm going to add some more text underneath. So I'm gonna put this text into a VStack. Then I'm gonna bring more text. Text, I'm gonna put item.text. Then after that, I'm gonna put text item.date. We just need to style this. First of all, I'm gonna put this left align. And then we're going to make the text to have a line limit of 2. But line limit requires a fixed height somewhere. Right now, we're not sure of the height of each row. So it's either you put the frame height of the VStack or you put the frame height for the text. In this case, I'm gonna set the frame height of the text. I'm gonna set it to a height of 50 instead. So by setting the frame height, you can see that now we see 2 lines of text. Then we can also set the line spacing, but I'm gonna put that after the line limit. So dot line spacing. So we can have more spacing between the lines. I'm gonna set it to 4. Now we have a little bit more spacing. Then I'm gonna set the font to subheadline, which is of size 15 by default, and it scales with accessibility, which is really important. For the date, I'm going to set it to a font dot caption. This one is of size 12, again scalable, but it's really good for small text that is very secondary. In this case, it's just for the date. I'm gonna make this one a slightly bolder, so the font weight to bold, and I can even set the color. So the text color is going to be dot gray. So already you can see that this layout is very common in iOS. You can see this, let's say in a mail app, it has this list view right here, and it's so customizable as well. And with very little code, we managed to add a title, but also buttons to the top right. And then we managed to get this detail view for free. So in the next session, I want to show you how to add an image to the left, and then we're going to style this detail view by passing the data from the previous screen. So if I tap on SwiftUI, it's going to say SwiftUI with the image about SwiftUI. So I'll see you in the next session.